Hola y bienvenidos. Soy el profesor Schenk y ahora vamos a hablar sobre el tiempo pretérito. We're going to talk about the preterite tense today. And the preterite tense, I guess the best word to describe it is it's the past tense. But in Spanish, we have two different past tenses that we're going to learn this semester. Right now, we're going to do the past tense that indicates actions that were completed, such as I went to the store, Marta bought a loaf of bread, we attended a party. Those are actions that are considered preterite or completed. So let's take a look at this presentation that I have here, and let's talk about how to conjugate verbs in the preterite. Let's talk about verb endings. We're going to deal with regular verbs. Let's start with AR verbs. The concept of conjugating a verb with an AR ending is the same as the present tense. You take the AR, drop it off of the ending of the infinitive, and you add your endings that correspond to each of the subjects. For the yo form, your ending is e with an accent on the e. The tu form is aste, no accent. Usted, él, ella is o with an accent on the o. These accents are extremely critical because they will change the meaning of the verb if you do not use them. Nosotros, nosotras, amos. Vosotros, vosotras, if you are doing the vosotros, vosotras form in Spain, is going to be hasteis. Ustedes, ellos, ellas, the verb ending will be aron. For ER and IR verbs, which luckily are exactly the same in the preterite, you drop your ER and IR ending off, and you have E, that's an I with an accent, iste, no accent, EO, so IO with an accent on the O. Imos, for nosotros. Isteis, for vosotros, vosotras. Yeron, I-E-R-O-N, no accents, for ustedes, ellos, ellas. Let's practice some regular verbs. Hablar, repeat after me. Hablé, hablaste, habló, hablamos, hablasteis, hablaron. Comer, comí, comiste, comió, comimos, comisteis, comieron. Let's do vivir. Viví, viviste, vivió, vivimos, vivisteis, vivieron. Now let's do a reflexive verb. You learned in a previous lesson that reflexive verbs, you must drop the se off of the end, move it to the front of the verb, and then change the se to match the subject, and also conjugate the verb. We do the same exact thing in the preterite tense. We move the se to the left, and we conjugate lavar to go with the form of the subject, and we also change the se to match the subject. Me lavé. Te lavaste. Se lavó. Nos lavamos. Os lavasteis. Se lavaron. You must put the reflexive form before the conjugated verb. You can never put it on the end of the conjugated verb. It must go before the conjugated verb. Okay, let's talk about spelling changers in the preterite. Let's talk about the yo form change from C to QU. For example, tocar. Notice that in the yo form, the C will change to a QU to accommodate the pronunciation. Because the original infinitive form has a k sound, you must change the C to a QU so that it's toque. If you do not, and you leave it as a C, it would be pronounced as tose, and that is not consistent with the pronunciation of the verb. The rest of the verb, you do not do that change. Tocaste, tocó, tocamos, tocasteis, tocaron. All CAR verbs make this change. Let's talk about jugar. This is a verb where the G changes to a GU in the yo form. Jugué. The U is placed there in order to maintain the sound of the G. If you do not put the U there, it is pronounced jugué, which is not consistent with the pronunciation of the infinitive. Jugué with a U. The rest of the verb forms do not have the U. Jugaste, jugó, jugamos, jugasteis, jugaron. Now let's talk about C to Z. Excuse me, Z to C. I should get that right? Okay. So, for example, lanzar, to throw. That Z is going to change to a C in the O form, lancé. But the rest of the verb does not do this. Lanzaste, lanzó, lanzamos, lanzasteis, lanzaron. And finally, let's talk about spelling changes with I to Y, like leer. Leí, that's normal. Leíste, why is this not normal? Because we are putting an accent on the I, and with ER verbs, we usually don't do that, so that makes it irregular. Leyó, here we have the I going to a Y. Why does it do that? Well, when you have the E, I, and the O, the I in the middle becomes the Y sound, leyó. So because the change in pronunciation happens, the I changes into the letter Y to accommodate that pronunciation. Leímos, there is an accent on the I, which also makes it irregular. Leísteis, same thing, accent on the I. And then the ustedes, ellos, ellas form is leyeron with a Y, for the same reasons that leyó has a Y.